The Grand View Hotel sits like a crown jewel in Manhattan's financial district, where men in $1,000 suits negotiate deals that could feed entire neighborhoods. Kesha Thompson knows every corner of this building, every marble tile, every gilded mirror, every whispered secret that bounces off these walls at 2 in the morning. She's worked here for 2 years, pouring coffee and clearing plates while billion-dollar empires rise and fall around her. To the power brokers who fill these halls, she's invisible. Just another black woman in a service uniform, someone who exists only to refill water glasses and disappear on command. But what they don't know, what they could never imagine, is that Kesha Thompson spent 4 years at MIT studying financial mathematics before student debt crushed her dreams like paper in a fist. She didn't drop out because she wasn't brilliant. She dropped out because her mother got sick, because the bills piled higher than her textbooks, because sometimes survival means sacrificing your future. Now she watches from the edges as people half as intelligent make decisions that shape the world. She sees their calculations, hears their theories, recognizes their mistakes, and she says nothing, because speaking costs more than silence ever could. Tonight feels different, though. The private conference center buzzes with an energy that makes her spine tingle. Tonight, Meridian Capital, one of Wall Street's most powerful investment firms, is deciding whether to pour $500 million into a quantum computing startup called Neuralink Technologies. $500 million. More money than Kesha will see in 10 lifetimes, resting on mathematical models that will determine whether fortunes are made or destroyed. She moves through the room like a ghost, her worn sneakers silent against expensive carpet. Security guards track her movements, making sure she doesn't linger too long near the documents that map out financial futures. The message is clear without words. People like her don't belong near information like this. A junior analyst, young, white, fresh from his Ivy League cocoon, laughs loud enough for everyone to hear. Finally figured out diversity hearing, he announces to his colleague, his eyes sliding past Kesha like she's furniture. Just stick them in service positions where they can't do any real damage. His friend nods, grinning. Exactly. Let them feel included without actually including them in anything important. Kesha's jaw tightens, but her hand stays steady as she refills his water glass. She needs this job. Her mother's medical bills arrive every week like clockwork, each one a reminder of why pride is a luxury she can't afford. Her student loans demand payment whether she has her degree or not. Her MIT dreams feel further away every single night. But even as she smiles politely and moves to the next table, her mathematical mind is working. Stock projections, market analyses, risk calculations, they process automatically, patterns emerging that others miss because they're not looking for them. Her training never left her, even if her diploma did. Part 2. Dr. Harrison Blackwell commands the room the way generals command armies. 25 years of successful deals have built him into a legend, a man whose mathematical models have saved Meridian Capital from 3 catastrophic investments. His risk assessments are gospel. His confidence is absolute. His reputation is unshakable. He sits at the center table, his $1,500 suit crisp despite the late hour, his salt and pepper hair perfectly styled. His laptop displays complex formulas that will determine whether $500 million flows into quantum computing or stays locked in safer investments. Elena Vasquez, Meridian's CEO, leans forward with the intensity of someone who built an empire by trusting the right people. She's sharp, brilliant, ruthless when necessary, and she trusts Blackwell's mathematical genius completely. "Walk me through the quantum breakthrough probability one more time, Harrison," she says, her voice carrying the weight of tomorrow's board presentation. "They'll want specifics." Blackwell's confidence radiates like heat. "Simple mathematics, Elena." He gestures to his screen with the casual certainty of someone who's never been wrong about anything that mattered. I'm calculating quantum advancement using standard technology adoption curves based on historical data. We're looking at steady, predictable progress over 18 months. Kesha approaches with fresh coffee, her presence barely registered. But her eyes catch the formula blazing on his screen, and her heart stops. It's wrong. Not just slightly off, fundamentally, catastrophically wrong. He's treating quantum computing breakthroughs like smartphone upgrades, like incremental improvements on a predictable timeline. But quantum systems don't work that way. They operate on exponential curves that can trigger overnight revolutions. Her MIT professors drilled this into every student until it became mathematical instinct. The numbers are rock solid, Blackwell continues, oblivious to the mathematical emergency unfolding behind him. 94% probability of return on investment within our target window. Conservative estimates put our return at 250 million minimum. Alina nods, satisfied. That matches our investment thesis perfectly. Kesha's hand trembles slightly as she pours coffee. She can see the future unfolding like a car crash in slow motion. His model would have missed Google's quantum supremacy breakthrough by 3 years. It can't account for the cascade effects when multiple research teams achieve breakthroughs simultaneously. $500 million about to evaporate because a brilliant man is using the wrong formula. The coffee pot feels heavy in her hands. Her mother's medical bills flash through her mind. Her student loan statements. The rent that's due in 6 days. Every reason she has to stay silent, to let the powerful make their expensive mistakes, to protect the small corner of survival she's carved out. But she's watched for 2 years as people less intelligent than her reshape the world. She served coffee to researchers who discuss quantum computing breakthroughs, assuming she can't understand terms like quantum supremacy or error correction protocols. She's been invisible so long that people forget she has eyes, ears, and a mind that processes mathematical relationships faster than their expensive software. The moment stretches like taffy. Speak and risk everything. Stay silent and watch brilliance die from lack of courage. Blackwell reaches for his whiteboard marker, preparing to finalize the formula that will guide tomorrow's presentation. Kesha sets down the coffee pot. Actually, she says, her voice cutting through the room like a blade through silk, that formula has a fundamental error. Complete silence. Every head turns. Alina's eyebrows arch in surprise. Blackwell's marker freezes inches from the whiteboard. Junior analysts stop typing mid-sentence. The security guard moves closer, unsure whether this counts as a disturbance requiring intervention. Blackwell turns slowly, his expression shifting from confusion to something darker. "Excuse me." His voice carries undertones that make Kesha's stomach clench. "Did our waitress just attempt to correct my financial modeling?" Part 3. The air in the conference room thickens like humidity before a storm. Kesha can feel every eye burning into her coffee-stained uniform, can hear the unspoken question hanging like smoke. Who does she think she is? But she's already crossed the line. There's no walking this back. The beta coefficient for quantum computing volatility, she says, her voice steadier than her heartbeat. You're treating breakthrough probability like traditional technology adoption, but quantum systems scale exponentially, not linearly. The room erupts in uncomfortable murmurs. A junior analyst whispers something about inappropriate interruptions. The security guard shifts closer, his hand drifting toward his radio. Blackwell's face darkens like clouds gathering. He stands, his height suddenly imposing, towering over her uniform. "Young lady, I've been conducting mathematical analysis since before you were born." His voice drips condescension like acid. "Unless you happen to possess advanced degrees in financial mathematics, which I seriously doubt, I suggest you return to coffee service immediately." The challenge hangs between them like a drawn weapon. Kesha knows this moment will define everything that follows. Claiming her credentials means admitting she's been hiding her capabilities, means explaining why an MIT mathematics student is serving coffee at 1 in the morning, means exposing every vulnerability that keeps food on her mother's table. But the numbers don't lie, and $500 million is about to be bet on a formula that's fundamentally broken. MIT, she says quietly, incomplete PhD program, financial mathematics concentration. The words land like thunderbolts. Alina's eyes widen. Junior analysts exchange shocked glances. Even Blackwell's confident expression cracks slightly, confusion bleeding through his certainty. "That's highly irregular," he sputters, recovering his composure like a swimmer finding the surface. Even assuming that's true, academic theory differs significantly from practical application. I deal with real money and real consequences. Alina studies Kesha with new intensity, her sharp business mind already calculating implications. "Show us the error." The invitation terrifies and exhilarates simultaneously. Kesha approaches the whiteboard, hyper-aware that every person in this room suddenly sees her differently. Not invisible anymore, not just a waitress, something undefined that doesn't fit their neat categories of who belongs in spaces of power. She picks up the marker, its weight familiar despite 2 years away from academic spaces. Traditional risk models assume technology breakthroughs follow normal distribution curves. She begins drawing, her hand finding the rhythm of explanation her professors praised. But quantum computing operates fundamentally differently. She draws 2 graphs side by side. The first shows a gentle upward slope, steady, predictable, safe. This is Dr. Blackwell's model. Steady, predictable advancement over time, like smartphone processors getting incrementally faster each year. Blackwell crosses his arms defensively. That model has successfully predicted technology adoption for 2 decades. For traditional technology, yes. Kesha draws the second graph, a flat line that suddenly rockets skyward like a prayer answered. But quantum computing breakthroughs don't add value incrementally. They multiply it exponentially. Each major advance doesn't just improve existing capabilities. It enables entirely new possibilities that were physically impossible before. Alina pulls out her phone, clearly fact-checking in real time. The junior analysts lean forward despite themselves, genuinely intrigued beneath their discomfort. Consider Google's quantum supremacy announcement in 2019, Kesha continues, writing key dates on the whiteboard. Their quantum processor solved a specific calculation in 200 seconds that would take traditional supercomputers 10,000 years. That wasn't incremental improvement. That was mathematical revolution overnight. She turns back to Blackwell's original formula, circling the problematic section with red marker. Your beta coefficient assumes quantum advancement follows semiconductor industry patterns. But quantum systems create cascade effects. When one breakthrough happens, it accelerates every other research team's timeline because the fundamental barriers have been proven solvable. Dr. Lisa Wu, Blackwell's lead quantitative analyst, starts running calculations on her tablet. The mathematical logic is sound, she admits reluctantly, her professional integrity overriding office politics. If quantum breakthroughs trigger accelerated research across multiple institutions. Exactly, Kesha finishes. When IBM announced their quantum error correction breakthrough 6 months ago, it didn't just advance IBM's timeline. It validated the entire research approach, causing massive acceleration across Google, Microsoft, university labs, and startup companies worldwide. The room falls silent as implications sink in like stones through water. Alina checks her phone again, her expression shifting from skepticism to something approaching alarm. My quantitative team is confirming your examples in real time. Part 4. Kesha writes the corrected calculations across the whiteboard, her MIT training flowing back like muscle memory. The marker squeaks against the surface, each number building toward an undeniable conclusion. Dr. Blackwell's model predicts 94% success probability because it treats each quantum advance as isolated. She steps back, letting the mathematics speak for themselves. But when you factor in cascade effects and exponential scaling, the actual probability drops to approximately 62%. That's a 32 percentage point difference, Alina breathes, her business mind already calculating. On a $500 million investment. 160 million additional risk exposure, Kesha finishes quietly. And that's conservative. If quantum advancement accelerates beyond current projections, the risk could double. Blackwell's confidence visibly wavers. He studies his laptop screen, double-checking calculations he's never questioned before. This is highly theoretical. Mathematical modeling requires years of specialized training and industry experience. You're absolutely right, Dr. Blackwell. Kesha's voice carries quiet authority now, the kind that comes from knowing your truth can withstand scrutiny. Experience matters enormously. That's why I've been studying quantum computing developments during every break, serving coffee to researchers from Columbia, NYU, and Princeton every week. When you're invisible to people, you hear things they'd never discuss in formal presentations. She points to her corrected formula, each variable representing conversations overheard, patterns recognized, insights gathered from the margins of power. Last month, I served dinner to Dr. Sarah Carter from MIT's Quantum Lab. She mentioned their error correction breakthrough happened 3 months ahead of schedule because IBM's research eliminated their primary theoretical barrier. That's not reflected in any public timeline, but it's exactly the cascade effect your model can't capture. Alina's phone buzzes with an incoming message. She reads it, then looks up with growing amazement. My external validation team just confirmed your quantum breakthrough timeline predictions match classified industry intelligence we pay $50,000 annually to access. The junior analyst who earlier joked about diversity hearing sits in stunned silence, his face flushed with shame or anger or both. Dr. Wu continues running calculations, her expression shifting from skepticism to professional respect. The mathematical elegance is undeniable, she announces to the room. Miss Thompson has identified a fundamental modeling flaw that our entire quantitative department missed. Blackwell straightens his tie, a nervous gesture Kesha has observed in other executives when their expertise gets challenged by unexpected sources. Even if her mathematics are correct, we're dealing with broader market factors. Regulatory approval, investor sentiment, competitive positioning. Which makes the quantum cascade effect even more dangerous, Kesha responds smoothly, her confidence building with each validation. When breakthrough announcements happen faster than traditional models predict, they trigger massive market volatility. Look at quantum computing stock prices after major announcements. 30 to 50% swings overnight because investors weren't prepared for the timeline acceleration. Alina stands up, packing as she processes implications that could reshape her entire investment strategy. If you're right about this, we're not just looking at investment risk. We're looking at being caught completely off guard by an industry transformation that happens years earlier than expected. The mathematics don't lie, Kesha says simply. Quantum computing follows exponential probability curves, not linear adoption models. Every breakthrough makes the next breakthrough more likely, not less. The hotel manager appears at the doorway, clearly confused by the unusual energy emanating from what should be a routine late-night business meeting. Several kitchen staff gather at respectful distances, sensing their colleague has somehow become the center of extraordinary attention. Part 5. The conference room door opens, admitting 3 new faces that make Kesha's stomach drop like an elevator with cut cables. Richard Sterling, senior partner and Blackwell's mentor, sweeps in wearing a $5,000 suit despite the late hour. His silver hair and cold blue eyes speak of old money and older prejudices. Behind him, Dr. Jennifer Wu, no relation to Lisa, carries a tablet loaded with verification software, her expression clinical and predatory. Michael Harrison III, trust fund analyst and company legacy hire, follows with a smirk like he's about to witness gladiatorial combat. "Harrison called us," Sterling announces, his voice carrying the authority of inherited wealth and unquestioned power. "Apparently, we have a situation requiring immediate damage control." Alina stands her ground, her own power meeting his without flinching. "We have a mathematical error requiring immediate correction." Dr. Jennifer Wu approaches Kesha with clinical coldness. "I'm here to verify your analysis. Any errors in your methodology will result in immediate legal action for securities fraud and industrial espionage." The temperature in the room plummets. What began as correcting a simple formula has evolved into defending her mathematical competence against Wall Street's most ruthless financial minds. Kesha can feel the shift. They're not interested in whether she's right. They're interested in destroying her credibility before she can threaten the established order. Sterling studies Kesha like she's an interesting but ultimately disposable problem. "Young lady, do you understand the liability exposure you've created for yourself? Making false claims about financial analysis to corporate executives constitutes multiple federal crimes." "I haven't made any claims," Kesha responds, forcing her voice to stay calm despite her racing heart. "I've identified mathematical errors. The numbers speak for themselves." "Numbers interpreted by someone without proper credentials," Michael Harrison III adds with entitled dismissiveness. "Without security clearance, without any understanding of market complexities. This is exactly why we maintain professional standards." Alina's decision cuts through the growing tension like a knife through fog. She'll sign extensive NDAs and liability waivers tonight. Full legal protection. "Harrison, your model contained fundamental errors that could have cost us hundreds of millions. I need to know how fundamental before I stake my reputation on this deal." The timeline makes Kesha's head spin. 18 hours to prepare a presentation for corporate titans who could destroy her life if they find her analysis lacking. 18 hours to prove that mathematical genius exists outside their privileged circles, that intelligence doesn't only bloom in ivy-covered universities, that brilliance can survive in a coffee-stained uniform. But word spreads through the hotel's corridors like wildfire in a drought. By 2 in the morning, a small crowd has gathered in the adjacent lounge. Hedge fund managers who couldn't sleep, venture capitalists working late, tech executives drawn by whispers about a mathematical genius waitress, challenging Wall Street's most respected risk analyst. Sterling attempts damage control, his voice tight with barely contained fury. This circus atmosphere is completely inappropriate for serious financial analysis. Then perhaps serious financial analysis shouldn't contain elementary mathematical errors. Alina shoots back, her loyalty to truth overriding institutional politics. Dr. Jennifer Wu presents Kesha with an intimidating stack of documents, non-disclosure agreements, liability waivers, verification protocols. "You'll need access to proprietary databases that cost $50,000 monthly. Real-time quantum patent filings, global semiconductor supply chains, university research publications." "Grant her access," Alina orders without hesitation. "Bill everything to my department." The social pressure cooker begins building immediately. Hotel staff whisper excitedly about their colleague challenging the financial elite. Kitchen crews start betting pools on whether Kesha can survive tomorrow's presentation. A hashtag begins trending on social media as word leaks beyond the hotel walls. #WaitressMathGenius. Michael Harrison III scrolls through Twitter feeds with growing alarm. This is becoming a public relations nightmare. We'll look like idiots regardless of the mathematical outcome. Only if we're wrong, Elena responds pointedly. The night stretches ahead like a mathematical equation, waiting to be solved. Part 6. The clock reads 3:30 in the morning when Kesha transforms a vacant conference room into a mathematical war zone. Laptop screens glow with streaming data, while financial papers carpet every available surface. Elena delivers industrial-grade coffee and protein bars, understanding instinctively that the next 14 hours will determine whether genius or prejudice prevails. Dr. Lisa Wu arrives with 2 graduate assistants, their expressions mixing skepticism with professional curiosity. "We're here to verify every calculation you make," Lisa announces, her tone clinical but not unkind. "One error destroys your entire thesis." "Good," Kesha welcomes the scrutiny, rolling up her sleeves. "Mathematics works best under rigorous examination." She walks them through her enhanced quantum probability model, each step building inexorably toward a revolutionary conclusion. Her fingers fly across the keyboard, pulling up data streams that most financial analysts never think to correlate. "Traditional risk assessment treats breakthrough innovations like predictable clockwork," she explains, her voice gaining strength as she settles into familiar intellectual territory. "But quantum computing operates on cascade principles where each major advance accelerates every subsequent breakthrough. Your probability matrices are surprisingly sophisticated," Lisa admits grudgingly after reviewing Kesha's methodology, her professional respect beginning to override her institutional skepticism. "Where did you learn advanced statistical modeling?" "MIT coursework supplemented by 2 years of serving coffee to researchers who discuss their work, assuming I can't understand it." There's no bitterness in Kesha's voice, just statement of fact. Meanwhile, Sterling and Blackwell work frantically through the night attempting to find fatal flaws in Kesha's approach. But what they discover instead shakes them. She's factoring variables their traditional models never considered. Global quantum research funding patterns, patent filing acceleration rates, academic publication timing correlations, semiconductor manufacturing bottlenecks that could trigger sudden breakthrough clusters. She's thinking 5 steps ahead of conventional analysis, Blackwell confesses to Sterling at 4:45, his voice quiet with something that might be respect or might be fear. Her mathematical framework accounts for interdependencies we've been ignoring for years. The hotel staff quietly mobilizes in support. The night manager brings proper lighting equipment. The kitchen crew provides steady meals and encouragement. Housekeeping ensures absolute quiet in surrounding rooms. Security keeps growing crowds of curious onlookers at respectful distances. By 5:30, #WaitressMathGenius has exploded across every social platform. Financial journalists request interviews. Cable news networks debate whether the story represents inspiring social mobility or dangerous institutional disruption. But at 6:30, disaster strikes. Sterling discovers a glaring error in Kesha's European market analysis, incorrect exchange rate calculations that appear to undermine her entire international risk assessment. Her model collapses completely, Sterling announces triumphantly to the gathering crowd, his voice carrying across the room like a judge's verdict. Currency conversion errors invalidate 20% of her mathematical foundation. For 20 agonizing minutes, Kesha's revolutionary analysis appears fatally compromised. Dr. Jennifer Wu's assistants verify the currency mistake. Media reports begin emphasizing the danger of unqualified personnel making billion-dollar claims. The hotel staff who'd gathered in support begin to disperse, their hope deflating like punctured balloons. But Kesha doesn't panic. She sits quietly, staring at her calculations, her mind working through the problem with the methodical precision her MIT professors taught her. Then she begins recalculating, transparently, with Lisa Wu monitoring every keystroke. The correction takes 12 minutes, When she finishes, she looks up with something like relief. "You're right about the currency error," she admits to Sterling. "But the correction actually strengthens my overall thesis by revealing additional risk factors traditional models miss entirely." She walks them through her revised calculations. The currency mistake had hidden deeper patterns in how European quantum startups were advancing faster than any public timeline indicated. Her corrected model now shows even more dangerous acceleration potential. "You calculate faster than most of my PhD candidates," Lisa observes with growing respect, watching Kesha's fingers dance across the keyboard. Part 7. At 8:15 in the morning, unexpected allies emerge from the shadows. Two junior analysts from Blackwell's own team quietly approach Kesha's table, risking their careers by offering support. "We've been fact-checking your work independently," the first admits nervously, a young woman named Rachel who'd been silent during the initial confrontation. "You miss some supporting evidence that makes your case even stronger." She slides classified documents across the table. Intelligence about European quantum startups advancing faster than any public timeline indicates. "Why are you helping me?" Kesha asks quietly. Rachel and her colleague Thomas exchange glances. "Because we've known Harrison's models were outdated for months," Thomas admits. "But who's going to believe junior analysts over a legend? You gave us permission to speak truth." The classified intelligence validates Kesha's cascade theory completely. Her mathematical framework doesn't just correct Blackwell's errors. It reveals systematic flaws in how the entire financial industry evaluates transformational technologies. Social media amplification reaches critical mass by 10 o'clock. The story transcends mathematical accuracy to become a symbol of hidden talent demanding recognition. Financial influencers debate whether credentialed expertise can coexist with unconventional intelligence. The hashtag spawns 1,000 think pieces about genius, privilege, and who gets heard in spaces of power. Alina pulls Kesha aside soberly. "Win or lose, your life changes permanently today. Are you prepared for that?" Kesha thinks about her mother's medical bills, her unfinished MIT degree, 2 years of being invisible. "I'm prepared for people to finally see me." At 11:30, Blackwell presents his final challenge, a deliberately complex quantum probability scenario designed to expose the limits of Kesha's knowledge. He constructs an intricate mathematical puzzle involving multiple breakthrough scenarios, regulatory responses, and market timing variables. Kesha studies his challenge for 15 minutes, her brow furrowed in concentration. The room falls silent, waiting. Then she looks up. She doesn't just solve his scenario. She identifies 3 fundamental flaws in how he constructed it and provides superior alternative approaches. "Your scenario assumes quantum breakthroughs happen independently," she explains patiently, like a teacher with a struggling student. "But cascade effects mean breakthrough clusters trigger massive market accelerations. Your regulatory response timeline ignores political pressure when transformational technologies threaten existing industries." Her solution demonstrates mathematical elegance combined with practical market understanding that surpasses anything Blackwell's team has produced in 25 years. Lisa Wu officially signs off on Kesha's mathematics at 12:15. Her analytical framework represents the most innovative approach to quantum investment modeling I've encountered. She's identified variables we never considered and mathematical relationships we completely missed. The preparation phase culminates with Kesha creating a comprehensive presentation that not only corrects Blackwell's original risk assessment, but provides an entirely new framework for evaluating quantum technology investments. Her model accounts for cascade effects, breakthrough clustering, regulatory acceleration, and market volatility patterns that traditional analysis ignores. By 1 o'clock, she's surrounded by pages of calculations that tell a compelling story. Hotel staff cheer quietly from doorways. Financial media gather outside in growing numbers. The weight of proving that genius emerges from unexpected places rests entirely on her mathematical shoulders. But Sterling makes one final attempt to undermine her credibility, his voice cutting through the energy like ice water. Even if her mathematics are correct, she lacks institutional understanding. Financial markets involve psychology, politics, and relationships that can't be captured in equations. Alina responds decisively, her patience with Sterling's gatekeeping finally exhausted. Then explain why her model predicted 3 major quantum announcements our official analysis completely missed. The evidence becomes overwhelming. Kesha's approach doesn't just improve on traditional methods, it reveals how conventional analysis fails when dealing with exponential technological change. As the final hour approaches, Kesha sits calmly amid the mathematical storm she's created. 2 years of invisibility have prepared her for this moment perfectly. She understands exactly how smart, powerful people think, because she's been serving them coffee while they discussed reshaping the world. The junior analyst who initially mocked diversity hearing approaches hesitantly. "I owe you an apology," he says quietly, "and probably my job, since your analysis just proved our entire department has been using flawed methodology for years." "Mathematics isn't personal," Kesha responds graciously. "It's just truth waiting to be recognized." The hotel manager appears with final updates. "Miss Thompson, there are 17 news crews outside, 43 interview requests, and 6 job offers that arrived in the last hour alone." But none of that matters yet, because at 1:30, just as Kesha puts finishing touches on her presentation, Alina bursts through the conference room door with devastating news. "The board moved up their vote," Alina announces, her voice tight with barely controlled fury. "They're deciding in 30 minutes before your presentation." Part 8. The room falls silent like a tomb. 2 junior analysts stop typing mid-sentence. Lisa Wu looks up from her final verification calculations with genuine shock. "That's impossible," Kesha breathes, feeling her carefully constructed world begin to crumble. "The original timeline was..." "Sterling convinced them that your involvement represents a security breach," Alina interrupts, her professional composure cracking to reveal raw anger beneath. "He's arguing that allowing unauthorized personnel access to confidential data sets a dangerous precedent, regardless of your mathematical accuracy." The real manipulation becomes crystal clear. Blackwell enters the room wearing an expression of calculated regret, the look of a man who's won without wanting to. "Alina, I want you to understand. I never questioned her mathematics," he says quietly. "The girl is obviously intelligent." He pauses for maximum impact. "But this isn't about being right. It's about maintaining institutional integrity. We simply cannot establish precedent that allows waitresses to make $500 million investment decisions." The foundational assumption flips completely. The challenge was never about mathematical competence. It was about who gets heard in spaces of power. Kesha's correctness threatens the existing hierarchy more than Blackwell's error threatens the deal. "They're not afraid I'm wrong," Kesha realizes with stunning clarity, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're afraid I'm right, and that changes everything about who they have to listen to in the future." Lisa Wu sets down her tablet with visible disgust. This is intellectual cowardice disguised as corporate responsibility. Alina paces frantically, her sharp mind calculating political options. She could challenge the board directly, but that risks her own position and guarantees Kesha gets crushed in corporate warfare. She could accept defeat and protect whatever relationships remain salvageable. Or she could go nuclear. "If the board won't hear your presentation," Alina announces with dangerous determination, "the investors will. We're live streaming the mathematical comparison. Let them decide whose analysis they trust with their money." The stakes explode exponentially. Instead of convincing 12 board members, Kesha must now prove mathematical superiority to millions of global viewers. Her analysis will be dissected in real time by financial experts worldwide. One mistake, one hesitation, and she becomes a cautionary tale about knowing your place. But something shifts in Kesha as she watches Alina prepare the live stream equipment. For 2 years she's been invisible, careful, safe. She swallowed her brilliance to survive, dimmed her light to avoid threatening people who needed her small. No more. I'm not doing this to prove I belong in their world, she says quietly, straightening her coffee-stained uniform with sudden pride. I'm doing this to prove their world needs people like me. The live stream indicator flashes red at exactly 2:25. Split screens show the Grand View Hotel conference room and Meridian Capital's marble boardroom. The viewer counter climbs rapidly. 500,000, 1.2 million, 2.3 million people worldwide tuning in to witness mathematical combat between Wall Street royalty and a hotel waitress. Alina's voice carries across both rooms with corporate authority. Today we're comparing two risk assessments for our quantum computing acquisition. Dr. Harrison Blackwell, 25 years of experience, Harvard MBA, Princeton PhD, and Kesha Thompson, MIT mathematics background, currently employed at our venue. 8 minutes each for their mathematical models, followed by 5-minute rebuttal period. Blackwell presents first, his confidence restored by familiar territory. Professional slides display traditional risk modeling with surgical precision. His delivery is flawless, polished, credible, comprehensive. Then Kesha's turn arrives. She approaches the whiteboard without slides, without corporate polish, wearing her hotel uniform like armor forged from authenticity. How many quantum computing breakthroughs happened while Dr. Blackwell was presenting? She asks. The pause electrifies both rooms. 3 patent filings, MIT, IBM, University of Toronto. His model assumes innovation happens on predictable schedules. Reality disagrees. She draws interconnected circles showing cascade effects, quantum breakthroughs amplifying each other exponentially rather than additively. Her mathematical demonstration builds systematically, undeniably. Network effects create winner-take-all scenarios. Breakthrough clusters trigger massive market accelerations. Regulatory responses lag behind technological reality. Dr. Blackwell's mathematics are perfect for a world that stopped innovating in 2019, she says clearly. But quantum computing doesn't follow smartphone rules. It follows exponential curves where each breakthrough makes the next breakthrough more probable, not less. She displays her model's historical accuracy, predictions matching real-world quantum announcements within weeks, while traditional models missed them by months or years. The independent mathematical review panel delivers their verdict. Ms. Thompson's analytical framework represents the most innovative approach to quantum probability modeling we've evaluated. Her methodology should become industry standard. Blackwell's rebuttal comes quietly, his confidence finally cracking. Ms. Thompson's methodology is unconventional, but her mathematical modeling demonstrates sophistication that exceeds my initial assessment. If her predictions about quantum cascade timing prove accurate, and real-time data suggests they might, then my risk assessment contains fundamental structural flaws. Alina addresses the global audience directly. Based on this mathematical comparison, Meridian Capital is restructuring our quantum investment strategy immediately. Dr. Blackwell will continue leading traditional risk assessment. Ms. Thompson will consult on breakthrough probability modeling. The hotel transforms into spontaneous celebration. Housekeeping staff streams in from every floor. Security guards applaud openly. The kitchen crew who'd supported her through the night embrace each other, crying and laughing simultaneously. Online reactions cascade across every platform. Universities offer Kesha scholarship completions. Quantum computing researchers validate her theories. Financial analysts debate whether conventional risk models need complete overhaul. The most satisfying moment comes when Blackwell approaches privately. "I owe you more than an apology," he says quietly, his pride finally yielding to honesty. "Would you teach me?" 6 months later, the financial world has transformed. The Meridian Quantum deal became the most profitable tech acquisition of the year. The Thompson method is taught at 17 universities and implemented by major investment firms globally. Kesha, now wearing business suits but keeping her original hotel name tag displayed prominently on her executive desk, addresses a camera directly. Every day, brilliant minds get dismissed because they don't match someone's idea of what expertise looks like. We don't need to change who we are. We need to change who gets listened to. The camera pans across her office walls. Her MIT diploma, her Financial Analyst of the Year award, and framed photos with hotel staff who believed in her when it mattered most. "How many genius minds have you walked past today?" Her voice continues over the closing scene. "How many solutions were sitting right in front of you, waiting for someone to finally listen?" The final image shows her hotel name tag positioned next to her MIT diploma, proof that sometimes the person who can save your company is the same person you almost ignored, not despite where she came from, but because of everything she learned by being invisible long enough to see what others missed. Truth doesn't need permission to be spoken. It just needs courage to break silence.